Hey guys, welcome to Bastion Time. I'm your host Bastion. This is Nintendo News. Let's get to that news. First of all, Reggie and Mr. Miyamoto were on the Jimmy Fallon show, and they were originally meant to just be showing off Super Mario Run, which they did, but then suddenly the Switch came out, and Jimmy Fallon got to play Breath of the Wild on the Switch, of which I'm extremely jealous. But he seemed to be really loving it. He was so excited. I kind of wondered half of the time if his excitement was put on, if it was amped up for TV or something, which is a huge turnoff to me, but he seems legit surprised and excited. Well, not surprised. I'm sure he knew that they were going to have the Switch, but he seemed excited that they were going to have the Switch. And then the next day, to further cement the fact, you can watch this video that some random stranger took of him while he was at a Cavs game in the audience, and he's talking to the guy next to him and clearly describing the Switch and how cool it is, and he even mimics taking off the Joy-Cons, and so he's clearly super into it. So that is really cool. I'm glad that he's that into it. I just wish it was me that got to play Breath of the Wild on the Switch. Our next story is about an interview that Mr. Miyamoto did about Super Mario Run, wherein he just basically talked about one of the inspirations for it, which was kind of surprising, and that is speedruns. He says he's been paying a lot of attention to speedruns, and he's noticed that the people who play it never once take their thumb off of the right arrow on the D-pad, that they're just always going forward, because to take it off even once would cost them a little bit of time. And so he thought, well, why don't we make a game where Mario's just running non-stop right from the get-go? So that makes me feel a little bit better about Super Mario Run. I mean, you might remember my very controversial video where I called it a Temple Run clone, and yeah, honestly, I didn't know at the time that Temple Run wasn't the first game of that run genre. But I'm happy to know that he's not just trying to copy the run genre, that he had an actual reason for this, supposedly. I mean, it seems exactly like the kind of thing you might want to say to distance yourself from having copied a pre-existing genre. But anyways, that's a kettle of fish for another time, or a previous video, really. So I'm very excited about that, and honestly, I'm really excited for Super Mario Run. I'm definitely going to get it. But anyways, let's get on to the next story. Mr. Miyamoto also, in a different interview, talked about how the point of Super Mario Run, well, one of the points, is to bring back lapsed fans, people who haven't kept up with Nintendo consoles. They haven't purchased any new Nintendo games or Nintendo consoles in a decade or more. And there are plenty of people out there like that who are still in love with Nintendo. They just haven't had a reason to get a console, and so they haven't. But now, with Super Mario Run being on their phone, they're like, hey, yeah, I like Nintendo, maybe I should get the Switch. So that's one of the major plans as far as mobile goes. Mr. Miyamoto said they're putting games out on the smartphone to bring people back to Nintendo, to get them to want to buy a Switch and such. Anyways, if you want to read that interview, there's a link down there for you. And that's it for this episode of Nintendo News. See you guys in a couple days for more news. Bye, guys.